You're listening to Cinematic Adventures, proud member of the Misfit Faction Media Network.
Good morning, Vietnam!
I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
I feel the need for speed.
Roads? Where we're going, we don't need roads.
Snakes. Why did it have to be snakes?
Badges? We don't need no badges. I don't have to show you any stinking badges.
You make me want to be a better man.
Nobody puts baby in a corner.
I wish I knew how to quit you.
Love means never having to say you're sorry.
He's looking at you, kid.
I've always depended on the kindness of strangers.
All right, Mr. DeMille, I'm ready for my close-up.
Would you be shocked if I put on something more comfortable?
You know how to whistle, don't you, Steve? You just put your lips together and blow.
I'm not bad. I'm just drawn that way.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the multiverse. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, this is cinematic. We're talking about a comic book movie on Cinematic Adventures. I'm excited.
I actively hate you.
I know. I just can't. It's just funny to me. But welcome back, everybody. This is actually Cinematic Adventures. As always, I'm Sean, and I've already pissed him off, but there's Paul. How you doing, Paul?
Oh, I'm just Ducky. Just Ducky, Sean.
Well, Ducky means you're good.
Ducky means a word I can't say on the family-friendly version.
Oh, well, what about the unedited version?
That's a different podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll work on that. But anyway, I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm always good.
You good? Everybody's good? Good. Cool.
So we are going to be discussing today, as we mentioned at the end of last week's podcast, last week was the 63rd birthday, I believe, of Tim Burton. So I was like, let's...
Never heard of him.
You never heard of him?
Never heard of him.
Oh, wow. You've been living under a rock.
I know Steven Spielberg.
Ah.
Just because he's doing the new West Side Story. I don't think he's done anything else.
Man, how you been doing this movie podcast for all this time now?
You do very good notes.
Not really anymore.
No, Wikipedia. I'm literally just learning the movie as we're going.
Oh, there you go. But, so I was just like, you know what? Let's get back to our director theme, and let's do a month on the great, well, depends on who you ask, but I agree he's very good, the great Tim Burton.
He's got a unique aesthetic.
Very much so. And could have gone many different ways with our first episode, but I felt, I think probably he's most remembered for...
Beetlejuice.
Maybe, but...
Edward Scissorhands.
Maybe.
Sweeney Todd.
Not so much.
Planet of the Apes.
You shut your mouth.
All right, there. There it is.
And we are going to talk about the 1989 classic Batman. And it's, I guess you could say, Sequel that changed the course of the Batman franchise, but looking back on it now, did it have to? We'll talk about that, and that is 1992's Batman Returns.
Where'd he go? Why is he back? He was just sitting in his parlor waiting.
He was just waiting.
That's still one of my favorite opening scenes to a movie, where Batman's literally just sitting there doing nothing.
He's just contemplating life,
just waiting, and not like patrolling, not making like.
It's a great
soup.
scene.
Oh,
it's a great scene, but it's so ridiculous.
What if he has guests? They're all. Why do you have giant bat mirrors all over the place?
I just want to know when Batman is out and about, man. It makes me feel safe.
Yeah. But yes, we are talking Batman and Batman Returns. Batman comes back.
He does.
Batman does it again. We could do a million of these.
Oh, absolutely.
Batman
We're
Forever.
only on 3.
Batman Forever, Batman and Robin.
Batman Triumphant.
Yeah. Batman takes a vacation.
Mm-hmm.
Batman and Robin. Again, I don't know. We'll figure. We'll do more.
Okay.
Bat People.
You're already starting to write them down too.
Yeah, it's weird because I don't even know how to write.
Yeah, it's true.
Yep.
Well, Paul,
Sean,
what are your feelings on 1989's Batman? Just the first thing that comes to your mind when you think of this movie.
It's, as a kid when I first saw it, it was scary.
Okay.
The first two, like both Batman and Batman Returns, like as a kid, I think I saw them when 89, like I was barely even alive.
Wow.
But the first time I ever saw them when I was like, because I grew up on Batman the Animated Series, which was dark, but it was also a cartoon.
Yeah.
You know, We grew up on things like Power Rangers and stuff like that. So
Goof Troop and DuckTales.
Yeah. Well, we all knew Goofy could probably throw some hands if he really needed to. Those hands were huge. And we also have to remember that Goofy had a kid, so that means he hit it at one point.
He did.
Yeah.
But you did see that in Extremely Goofy movie. He's
got some game.
He's a player.
Yeah,
he's a player.
He yucked a few biddies in his time. But, we grew up at a time where the media was really starting to crack down on the violence in television. Power Rangers really kind of brought it to the forefront because we remember playing Power Rangers in the backyard. I'm sure one or two kids got kicked in the face at some point at recess.
And you actually knew Taekwondo.
Yeah, I did. Very nice guy. Lives down the road. But I couldn't help it.
Get off my lawn!
Yeah. But one of the most memorable instances of it is the second Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, where they neutered them down so badly
just ridiculous
that they only used their weapons once.
Yeah.
And that's Donatello using his bow one time. Yeah. Yeah, it's so this was the time where parents were really starting to crack down on what was available to their children, because until the internet came out, the only thing that was available were these popular TV shows and movies. Mm-hmm. And they were trying to find their audience, and there was a bit of a struggle, especially with Batman, who had just come off the Adam West and Burt Ward type, holy, really campy humor Batman.
Pow, zap, and wham.
I will never. We're gonna punch them so hard that words describing their pain will materialize.
Holy rusted metal, Batman.
Yeah, that's a good one too. He executive produced that.
That's right.
Yeah. But so this was a very interesting time for me as a kid. I remember not liking Batman Returns, especially. The Penguin scared the living crap out of me.
I think the Penguin scared every kid.
That shot of him coming out of the water is still like.
Oh, it's a great shot, but it is intense.
He bites a dude's nose off.
I don't think he bites it off. I think he just bites it.
And he's also super horny.
Yes, for the cat.
Not even the cat, but like the young constituents.
That's true.
Yeah. But who better? Danny DeVito. But for a lot of kids growing up, Michael Keaton, and for a lot of people still, he's the definitive Batman.
Yes.
Which is ironic because I didn't think he was the best Batman.
Of this series?
Of all time?
Of all time? Okay.
Of all time, no. And I also so Batman Forever came out at the perfect age for us.
Oh, that was the first one I ever saw in theaters.
Saw it in theaters. I remember wearing a Robin outfit to go see it. I was like 9. But yeah, that was my Batman, especially because I love that Val Kilmer's Bruce Wayne actually fought in that.
Yeah.
In Batman and Batman Returns, Bruce Wayne and Batman are almost like completely different people. Like it's sometimes jarring. Like I can't imagine Michael Keaton at that point kicking my ass. But also, they kill a lot of people in these movies. They do take a fair amount of liberties with Batman and the Batman mythos, and then people piss and moan about Ben Affleck killing people. Like Batman put a bomb in some dude's pants and smiled about it, pushed him in the sewer.
But you never actually saw him die.
He died completely. He died probably twice because he was a big dude. But what about you, Batman and Batman Returns?
Well, you touched on it mainly. This came out at a time where Batman was still, to the casual Batman fan, was still followed around by Pow, Zap, and Wham. I mean, there was no in TV or in movies, there was no Batman. There was no dark version of Batman. There was no true cinematic take on the original Bob Kane story. I believe Frank Miller's Dark Knight Returns had come out a couple years before the movie, so this movie does pay homage to that. Homage. That pays homage to Frank Miller's comic book. That brought it a little closer, but I've also just, in the last 10 years, just researching the history of this movie, just how difficult it was to make. It's in a way similar, but not so similar to the way they made, Richard Donner's Superman. This one, I think, took a lot more time because they originally started making, prepping this movie back in the early 80s, and obviously it didn't get released until 1989. But just finding the right balance, finding the right actors, finding the right story. I mean, it's tough with a comic book, and it's a tough, with adapting such a celebrated character as Batman is, obviously, as we saw with Superman. then going to Superman 2, and then see how that series just kind of crashed and burned, and now doing it with Batman. And as we kind of see with Batman, again, depending on who you ask, it's Batman Returns, does it go down to Batman Forever? Some people think it goes up with Batman Forever, and then it just sinks down to the ground with Batman and Robin.
I love Batman Forever.
I agree with you. I really do like Batman Forever, but we're not the only ones who like it, and we're definitely not the only ones who don't like it.
You're the only person I know that likes Batman and Robin, though.
I do like Batman and Robin.
You do like Batman.
All the wrong reasons, but I like Batman and Robin.
One might say the right reasons. But let's talk about Tim Burton and how he got onto that project. I'm sure you have some fun notes.
Oh, well, Tim Burton began as a animation artist for Walt Disney Animation.
Never heard of him.
You don't hear about a lot of things.
I live in a cave. I live in this basement, actually.
That's true.
This is where I live.
That's true. I didn't want to say anything, but it looked like, saw the extra pillows.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
But yeah, so Tim Burton began, with Disney. He had done a couple of short films at Disney. For all you who out there know the original Frankenweenie, he did that. He did another one called Vincent.
Weenie. Frank. Franks and beans.
And wasn't really getting the work he felt he deserved at Disney, so he ended up getting the job to direct Pee-wee's Big Adventure, which I believe was 1985.
That's another movie that I loved as a kid, but it's also like the one scene with the truck driver I couldn't watch. It scared me.
And that movie was a success, and he ended up doing Beetlejuice. And it was while Beetlejuice was in post-production.
Don't say it again.
I only said it twice.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Don't say it again.
It was when a certain movie was in post-production.
Candyman.
Ah.
I say the two of us each try and summon the other and see if they fight each other.
I think Candyman would win.
All right, well, we're at 2 for Candyman and 2 for the other one, so just be careful what you say next.
Okay.
Do you ever watch Community?
No.
Apparently there was like a running joke where they kept saying that name, and then like over like 3 seasons or something like that, and then on the 3rd season they say it again, and you see a guy in the background just Beetlejuice walk by.
Oh, really?
Dang it, I said it again. Oh my god.
All right, we're good. I think we're good. So it was on post-production of, you said it already, so
we're
Beetlejuice, that they began testing the waters to see if Tim Burton would be a good fit for Batman. But the studio was unsure because, we got to wait and see what Beetlejuice does. Well, Beetlejuice was a huge hit, so...
Talk about another show, another movie that created a TV show where, like, not only did they make Beetlejuice the hero, but they made it so kid-friendly.
I remember that. Nickelodeon. Oh, Beetlejuice. So that was a great show.
That was a good show.
That was very good. I love that opening.
You can't beat it. I think that was also a better medium for it. Like the movie stuff.
Yeah.
Especially watching it now, you're like, oh.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Oh.
Absolutely. I'm kind of glad they've never gotten a sequel off the ground with Beetlejuice. Like,
yeah.
I wouldn't say no to it, but at this point, I'm just kind of like, guys, it's been 35 years.
I like how people are just throwing money at Michael Keaton at this point to be like, do what you did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, guys, Michael Keaton is like one of the best actors in Hollywood right now. Do we have to have him play Beetlejuice?
All of his old characters.
Like, he's finally gotten out of that, and now we're just, oh, no, just go do that again. I'm like, God.
But you know what? Well, we're going to talk about Michael Keaton in a few minutes, but I love Michael Keaton. Like anything,
he's a great actor.
I think he deserves a lot more than he's gotten. But I mean, like, don't get me wrong, people know him and they love him, but he also just seems like a really cool dude.
He does.
Yeah,
he does. So Tim Burton is offered the Batman film, and immediately they began hatching out the story and all that stuff, but I always feel with this movie, and I've always said this to you, Batman is a comic book movie directed by Tim Burton. Batman Returns is a Tim Burton movie.
Oh, yeah.
And we'll talk about that, obviously, as we get a little closer to talking about Batman Returns. But you want to jump into the casting?
Of what?
Of Batman.
Oh, fine. So we're starting off. We'll start with the top build, which was unique for the time, and a trend that repeated in the 4th one, I believe.
Yes.
Jack Nicholson gets top billing in this movie as Jack Napier / the Joker. Now, that's unique because you would think Batman being Batman would get all the Batman stuff. Like he would be like this guy. This is the guy. It's Batman. But no, it was Jack Nicholson, biggest name at the time.
Huge.
Michael Keaton was well known. We're going to talk about that in a minute, but not for the right reasons for this movie. So Jack Nicholson comes on, and obviously he does steal the show as Jack Napier.
And he made a lot of money from this movie.
How much money did he make?
I don't know. I got to research that, but I know between all the deals he made and like, the back end percentage of the movie, he had a lot of money.
Yeah, because this movie, I do want to say, its budget was between 35 and 48 million. You know, unfortunately, like as you go further back in time, trying to find accurate budgets like just get harder and harder. You know, you got newspaper advertising, you got like all these things. But it ended up making almost $412 million. That's 100% like jump. Like that's crazy.
I know that's.
But obviously, Jack Nicholson's been in Hollywood for a very long time. He's got very good agents, and he's got a lot of clout. Even like if he does that's why you don't see him ever do cameos.
No.
Because the amount of money you would have to pay just to get him to cameo. That's why, unfortunately, Jack Nicholson will never see him play the Joker again. Well, because Batman kills him at the end. Kills him dead. So this version of the Joker is a little bit more... He's based off the Killing Joke style Joker, where, you know, Batman knocks him into a vat of acid. He gets all disfigured from it. I never noticed as a kid that he gets his face sliced before he goes in.
Yeah.
I just never noticed it. I just thought, like, he fell in.
With the bullet.
Yeah. So that's still one of my favorite shots. Batman just ricocheting that thing. Because science and logic. But... he comes out, he's all bleached, and they have more of the crazy gangster style of Joker. We've seen a lot of different versions of Joker. In the comics, they did an arc called The Three Jokers, where it was actually the Joker was made up of three different Jokers. One was the anarchist, the comedian, and the gangster. And they were all indicative of like the times that they were introduced, because the Joker's been around for a very long time.
Yeah, since 39, I believe.
Well, I know that there was a time where the Joker disappeared. He was only supposed to be a one-shot character, but he proved so popular that they were like, we like him, and yeah, we want that. But the Joker's one of those characters that every time you read him, he's different. So it's hard to find exactly who the definitive Joker. But his first appearance was April 25th, 1940. Okay. So quite some time the Joker's been around, and I arguably he is Batman's most well-known villain. He's the Lex Luthor to Batman. But now going down the list, we have Michael Keaton as Bruce Wayne and Batman. Now, there was a lot of reaction to Michael Keaton being cast. He was a comedian at the time. He was really just well known for movies like was Mr. Mom out at this point?
Mr. Mom, Beetlejuice.
Yeah, so people knew him for his comedy chops, which, don't get me wrong, he's very funny. But so this was one of the first real examples of the fans going, no, we don't like it. The first experience of toxic fandom is basically the best way to explain it. And it's a trend that would repeat itself numerous times. Heath Ledger got it as the Joker. Yeah. And ironically, both these casting choices, people are like, these are the best things ever. Then, it happened with Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, even though, I think she's fantastic.
Daniel Craig as Bond.
That was another really good one. Because I think I was even in that camp. I was like, that doesn't even look like James Bond. We just saw the new trailer for No Time to Die. It looks really good. I'm really excited.
I'm hoping.
They're going to kill him. He's going to die in it.
They can't kill James Bond.
No, because then they'll just do the running fan theory that they'll just give the title of James Bond.
If they ever do that theory, actually,
who's the new woman in it? Who takes over for him? The black woman in it.
So I don't know. I don't know what the plot is for this movie at all.
Well, you did not come prepared for anything.
I came prepared for Batman. Not
you did come
No
prepared.
Time to Die.
I'll give you that. Hold on. Give me 4 seconds. Lashana Lynch.
Okay.
She plays, I guess, Bond's been retired, and she is assigned the 007 number.
Oh, so they are going to go with that.
Well, the movie starts off with him being retired.
Okay.
Yeah. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Stop distracting me. But yeah, this was a great example of the fandom going, we don't like this. And they would send letters in. They
was
were
on the front page of the Wall Street Journal.
Very vocal about it. And this was the first really big comic book movie since Superman. This was, and there was always talk about Christopher Reeve's Superman and Keaton's Batman being in a movie together. There was talk about it at some point, because these came out close enough that you could...
Well, this came out 2 years after the last Superman movie.
So Christopher Reeve hadn't had his accident yet.
Not for another I think like 3 or 4 years.
Still so heartbreaking.
Yeah.
But I love Michael Keaton as Bruce Wayne. And Batman. I really do.
I do too. I think that his introduction scene in the beginning of the movie.
Oh, the I'm Batman.
The I'm Batman is still to me the best one of all.
Oh, it's such a great scene.
Yeah,
him beating the crap out of all those guys, and just so many good iconic moments with like the wings and like because the idea of Batman is he uses the persona of Batman to instill fear into criminals. That's his shtick because he is just a normal dude. Catwoman stabs him in the next movie. Can I get some antiseptic ointment? But so he uses this persona to create almost something that's more than human. Because that's why like all the urban legends and all this stuff. And I like when Batman's not necessarily liked by the police or believed in, like as an actual urban legend. Like even in Zack Snyder's Justice League, Cyborg makes a comment. He's like, "Heard about you, didn't think you were real." Like I can totally see Gotham PD making like a propaganda thing where we light up this bat signal and people go, the bad guys get in trouble. Like a lot of time, who is it? Commissioner Gordon in The Dark Knight. He says like most times he doesn't come, but I like having it on so they know he's out there. But what did you think of the Batsuit?
I mean, it was the first time seeing the I guess what you would call
the lycra spandex.
The lycra spandex of Adam West, but to me that's when I think Batman, my mind immediately goes to these few movies, the Keaton, Val Kilmer look, the
long ears,
the heavy cape, the heavy duty, like looks like rubber. Not the Christian Bale look, not the Ben Affleck look. I think the Michael Keaton, Val Kilmer Batman look. That to me is what I think of when I think of Batman on film.
So the Batsuit has gone through a lot of changes in the comic books. The utility belt as well. Obviously, the utility belt is a very well-known feature of Batman. I find that the Dark Knight version of Batman really doesn't use it as much. I think this Batman, Michael Keaton, he uses his gadgets a lot, like to the point, where does he get these wonderful toys? And I do like how whatever he needs flips around. So it kind of takes away from, because, the logic is, how does he fit these things in his pouches? We've seen a lot of different utility belts over the years. Some are little compartments, some are pouches. I will say, though, as far as the Batsuit goes, this was the first time that we got an armored-style Batsuit, where it's literally designed to deflect bullets and swords and knives and all that stuff. We've seen Batman with varying different levels of it. I will still always make fun of the fact in Batman and Robin, they're like, all right, Freeze has frozen the city. We have 11 minutes. I'm going to change my outfit and get new vehicles really quick. I'll just give me 2 seconds. It'll take 2 seconds. God, just to sell toys. That was to sell toys. Ridiculous. But and obviously we still laugh at him having to turn his whole body just to turn his head. It's iconic. It's the funniest thing. But and he moves in it too, like surprisingly well.
Yeah.
Even like when he and Vicki Vale are running down the streets, like it's funny the way he runs because he has to keep his head still. So I always laugh at that scene, but also it's like because like he can't move his head. It's the funniest thing. So it does bother me, the bat symbol with the little 2 prongs at the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why that bothered me as a kid. I was like, it's not how it looks. I mean, even as like a 7-year-old, I was like, Batman's wrong. I think because I was so used to the animated series, and obviously they changed it in the sequel without saying anything about it. But I dig it, and it isn't really until Batman and Robin that really the Batsuit, because up until then the Batsuits were on point. Clooney's Batsuit doesn't look too bad, but yes, having the fake muscles and nipples, that bothers me. That bothers me. I get the idea. I get what Schumacher was trying to do. Again, it goes back to the concept of making the
codpiece.
It goes back to the concept of making them look more than normal people, but too far. Too much. I will say though that Ben Affleck's Batsuit in Batman vs Superman is still my favorite one. because it is in my opinion the most comic accurate one. We still have not gotten a gray and blue one though. I really want a full gray suit with the blue cowl and cape.
That would be nice.
That would be really cool. I'm excited for Keaton's return in Flashpoint to see if there's like extra Batsuits or like just Easter eggs, because this Batman, for all we know, he's still been Batmaning.
It's true. Because I guess this is going to be Dark Knight Returns Bruce Wayne, or is this going to be Batman Beyond Bruce Wayne? Like,
nobody knows.
Nobody
has any idea how Keaton's Batman is going to play into this new Batman movie.
Yeah.
Or this new Flash movie, excuse me.
What about supporting characters? What did you think of? Obviously, we have Kim Basinger as Vicki Vale.
Totally forgettable.
Fair enough.
I mean, they make one reference to her in the following movie.
You're right.
Security? Who's the one that let Vicki Vale into the Batcave? Sitting there trying to do work. I turn around. Oh, hey, Vic, come on in.
Well, we got Robert Wool as Knox, the reporter.
Way less forgettable. I loved him.
Oh, he's funny.
I wish they had brought him back in the sequel.
Yeah, I kind of bummed they didn't. I don't know why they didn't. I guess they just couldn't really fit him into the storyline, I guess. And then we have Michael Goff and Pat Hingle, who would repeat their roles throughout the entire series. Pat Hingle playing Commissioner Gordon, Michael Goff playing Alfred.
They're literally the only links between these movies for the most part.
Yeah.
The only exception is that I can think of off the top of my head. I'm sure there are more. In Batman and Robin, when Bane breaks into the evidence locker and you see Two-Face and Riddler suits there.
Yes, which makes no sense because Two-Face literally melted in acid.
No, he didn't. He just fell in the water.
Oh.
Yeah. They went in and got it.
Oh, okay.
He had extras.
Well,
those were
funny how
tailor-made.
we're talking about Two-Face, and we have in this movie Harvey Dent, played by Billy D. Williams. And I remember, because my memory of Batman, I'd probably seen Batman before seeing Batman Forever, but it wasn't, in my brain as much. I remember going back after watching Batman Forever, my dad going, "Oh, you know that's Two-Face, right?" And I'm like, "Wait, who?
Wait, what?"
Oh, yeah, Harvey Dent. That's he becomes Two-Face.
That's Lando Calrissian.
And I was
Excuse me.
Wait, no, that's not the same guy. What are you talking about? And I just remember that always bothered me. But it's a shame we never got to see Billy D. Williams actually go through with playing the Two-Face character.
Well, this month they actually came out with Batman 89, which was a comic book continuation following the events of Batman Returns. At the end, we'll talk about it, and I'll give you guys a very brief synopsis. But anyway, so let's talk about Kim Basinger and Robert Wool's characters, what they're actually doing in this movie.
Yes. So Robert Wool obviously plays Knox, he's a reporter. He's not a tabloid reporter. He works for, rather respective, the Gotham, whatever the Gotham paper is. But he is so steadfast on this story of this, man as this bat that is terrorizing all the thugs of Gotham City. No one else is doing the story. He can't get anything out of the cops. All his other reporters think he's crazy, but he is steadfast that this is a story. I'm going to stick with it. Kim Basinger plays Vicki Vale, who is a very respected photographer coming off of photographing, I'm guessing, a battle or a war or something like that. You see it's the Corto Maltese. You see like a picture in the magazine.
And for those of you guys who don't know, Corto Maltese is a very famous location in DC Comics. It's been mentioned in a ton of movies, most recently in Suicide Squad. So it's one of those like... We need a place for bad guys in DC Comics. Corto Maltese, done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so she's now come to Gotham City, and she looks up, comes to Knox, and she's like, "I like your work, but I like bats." And at first he's like, "Oh, okay, who sent you?"
Oh, that's great.
So no. I want to do, your words, my pictures, and we're all gonna pull to prize. So that is their mentality right there. They want to find the bat and get the story.
Yeah, have you noticed that there's a lot of women, a lot of blonde women that come to Gotham and are obsessed with Batman?
Yeah.
Nicole Kidman's character is the worst.
Well, because she's a psychiatrist.
It's not even that she's a psychiatrist, but like she's like so turned on by him as he comes swinging in the very
opening. Right on her face.
She's like, "Yes, take me to your Batcave." God, like she, and then she starts dating a client.
That's right.
She starts dating a client, and then she starts...
Well, because Bruce Wayne wants to date her, and she goes, well, I met somebody. And then Batman comes to her. Batman comes to her window. She's naked under the sheets, and she's like, they start making out, and then she goes, oh, well, I like this other guy. And I just love he turns to the camera, he just smiles.
That's a meme. The Batman smiling meme? Oh, yeah. There are a few Batman smiling memes.
Yeah, no, but then you got the crazy one in Michelle Pfeiffer, who, Oh, God. That would be they would have made it work. They would have made that work.
There was plans to make them work. In the comics, they unfortunately did not work. They were going to get married. She called off the wedding. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, Kim Basinger. Unfortunately, she also plays the damsel in this one a lot of the time.
Pretty much.
Like Michelle Pfeiffer ends up kicking people's asses. But with no formal training, she's just still able to do gymnastics and use a whip proficiently. But, unfortunately, Vicki Vale is more... she's there, and she's there for the plot, and she tries to help, but for the most part, she's getting rescued by Batman. Unfortunately. And taking pictures.
I always love that in the Batcave. She's like, what do you want from me? Oh, there's something else. And he just lifts his cape, and you're like... What did he just do?
Is that how they do it?
And then she wakes up, she's feeling around, she goes, he got the film.
Yep.
I always like that scene.
Yeah. Well, you know what scene always weirds me out in that movie? When she wakes up because, they have one date, and she's like, well, he's a billionaire. I mean, I like him. And she sleeps with him. First date. But, she wakes up and he's just hanging.
I don't know why I like that scene. I just do.
It would have made more sense if he was working out.
He's doing the bat he's moving his arms, and he looks kind of like a bat hanging upside down.
I know, but that was weird. That made no sense.
I think that was a Tim Burton. That was probably a Tim Burton.
I would have liked it better if he started doing crunches or something, working out.
It was probably just as the camera panned away.
Yeah, sure, Sean. Sure. Yeah, just hanging out like a bat. But that's the main cast.
That's the main cast of Batman. You want to talk a little bit about
the plot?
Oh, we can talk about the plot.
Oh, what did you want to talk a little bit about?
I was going to talk about, Tim Burton's contribution to the movie and what we feel, what did Tim Burton bring to this movie that was successful? Did we, was he the right choice?
It has a very unique aesthetic. This was way before Tim Burton aesthetic was Tim Burton aesthetic.
This, I mean, if you are a true Tim Burton fan, Tim Burton is a fan of the German expressionistic style of filmmaking.
And nobody having a tan.
That too.
Yeah.
Obviously Beetlejuice, you see some of that in certain points of the movie, but it's a very colorful movie. Then you get to this movie, and it's not colorful at all, except for the Joker.
No stripes.
No.
Usually Tim Burton has somebody wearing stripes.
Yeah, Beetlejuice,
Beetlejuice, Sweetie. They do the scene in Sweetie Todd where she sings by the sea.
But this movie is, I think you definitely see his German expressionistic roots with the creation of Gotham City. Beautiful sets. I mean, unbelievable sets. I mean, they actually went to London, and they built, those are truly
You sound like
built
you're from
sets.
London.
And, crazy, crazy huge sets. So that right there, makes the movie just as great because it's just, it's all practical. But, again, so much in this movie, you don't see what Tim Burton...
You don't see his full...
You see it, but you don't see it to an extent like you see in Batman Returns.
Well, I think also because at this point he was still establishing himself. He, the studio was still a little hesitant with Tim Burton as director, and hesitant about the project. They were already getting huge feedback from the fans that was not necessarily exciting. But this movie has his fingerprints on it. It definitely does. And also, I think it benefits from having... it's modern day, but it's also 1940.
That's the thing. I mean, this movie could easily pass for a
1920s bootlegger gangster type movie.
It's not like, oh my god, this is 1989. It's present day, but it doesn't feel present day.
Well, the animated series did that too, where you could not nobody could tell you what year the movie or the show took place in. It was a very with the fedoras and the gangster look and the long cars or long cars for rich people, short cars for the average class. I gotta say though, Gotham City did not seem nearly as unsafe as I would think.
It definitely had in that opening scene, obviously where the family is coming out.
We
of the
all
theater.
thought it was Bruce Wayne, and
Well, that was I remember.
Oh my god!
Not the first time seeing it. because I was too young to really know the backstory. But a little later on, I was just like, oh, you could really probably think that that's, Bruce Wayne as a kid. But and I always thought he killed the father there at the beginning, but they just knocked him out.
Yeah, he was fine. He's fine.
But it was a very, very New York 1980s look. Feel to it. But it just, again, those sets were just fantastic, and the production design, all that.
And that's what Batman and Robin just killed, because, like, say what you will about Batman Forever, like, obviously it was starting to go towards the cheesy side, but I liked some of the aesthetic, like, the gangs that were wearing the neon, like, that's their thing.
That's their thing. The Arkham Asylum, look, the even just the Gotham City look itself was not.
Do we see Arkham at all in this movie?
In this movie, we don't see Arkham in either of the Tim Burton movies.
I didn't think so. I know
you only see it for that few seconds at the end of Batman Forever.
Yeah. And then obviously Batman and Robin.
I would love a Batman Arkham movie.
So if you listen to on the Multiverse Fancast, we did the Suicide Squad. We did Suicide Squad, not the Suicide Squad, the original one. And we talked about how they really should have just had that movie, made it Suicide Squad having to break into Arkham and having Batman be almost the villain in it for them. I thought that would have been a way more interesting movie than what we got. Now, obviously, I really enjoyed the Suicide Squad, the newest one that came out, but it makes me sad that we didn't get that, because I would have loved to see a little bit more of Arkham, especially after the games came out. I know I'm a big fan of the Arkham series of games.
The Arkham game.
Did you play all three, or did you just play the first one?
I played 1 and 2.
Yeah, that's really all you got to do. Yeah. Third one's good, but
there's a fourth one, right? Arkham Knight.
Let me backtrack. Arkham Origins was a prequel made by a different studio. So
that's the one. I know there's one in there that's not made by the same people.
Yeah. Now they have a new game coming out called Gotham Knights. I'm really excited for.
All right.
But we never see Arkham. I didn't really think about it.
No, and I don't really think you hear about it either until, again, Batman Forever.
Yeah, where they put Enigma back there. First movie villain that they did not kill.
Well, Catwoman.
Yeah, but that was in post credit. That was a scene at the end. But and then they never did anything with it anyway. They made the Halle Berry movie. Oh, God, that movie's atrocious.
How about the music?
I will argue that Tim Burton's Batman theme, or Danny Elfman's Batman theme, is arguably one of the most iconic Batman or superhero themes ever. I will say that the Superman's March definitely beats it, but I would say it's number 2.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
So popular that they, in the Joss Whedon version of Justice League, they actually they played it in that shot with him. Yeah. The more we talk about Joss Whedon's Justice League, the more we just don't like it. Hopefully, I'm going to talk about Zack Snyder's Justice League more and more and make you like it.
It's going to take a while.
You're going to take a while.
That might be a movie in 20 years. Maybe I could look back and go like, huh.
I think the story behind that movie is way more entertaining.
Oh, well,
yeah.
Pretty much.
And I still argue that if it actually had come out theatrically, it would have been edited down. So, there's that.
Well, I mean, obviously, Danny Elfman came off of Beetlejuice. And I also believe he did Pee-wee's Big Adventure, so he'd already been, done 2 movies with Tim Burton, so they've already established a rapport with each other. And this was, as Danny Elfman has openly said, this was his first big commercial movie. So, the studio was very nervous about him doing the score. He was like, he says in an interview for he's performing the music for the producer. He's doing like a theme here and there, and the producer's kind of like, all right, nothing too great here. And Tim Burton's in the background going like, play the march.
Yeah.
So he starts playing the march, and like the producer just like jumped out of his chair and was like, oh my God, that's amazing. So
that's funny.
Definitely, you wanted to emulate the the Superman. You wanted something similar to that music.
Almost like a dark mirror of it, though.
Yeah, pretty much. But they hit it out of the park, and then that theme obviously was utilized for the animated series. And it's funny, as a kid, noticing the difference in the music between the first 2 Batman films and the second 2 Batman films.
Oh, yeah.
They're similar, but there's...
Did Danny Elfman do the music?
No. Who did? That's a very good question. I will find that out for you.
Yeah, but I mean, arguably, like between the visuals of this movie and the music, it really set the tone for what Batman is supposed to be and what Batman looks like in a film. And it's emulated a lot in further movies. You know, even Christian Bale's Batman says, "I'm Batman" in it. I still love Adam West on The Big Bang Theory. He's like, "I never had to tell anybody I was Batman. They just knew I was Batman." It's a shame that Adam West passed away, because I would have loved. He would have been great in Crisis on Infinite Earths. Him and Burt Ward walking down the street together. Holy crimson skies of death! Still the best way to open up the crossover. Oh God, it was so good. But I will say some of my favorite stuff though are. Do you have a particular favorite scene in this movie?
Ooh, I gotta think about that.
All right, the scene that always jumps to my head, it may not be my favorite scene, but it's always the scene that jumps to me, is after Batman crashes through the window, rescues Vicki Vale from the Joker. Even though you can tell exactly which glass pane is supposed to break, because it's a different color. And you can see the cable on him as he drops down. But then, and then obviously he does the double-sided grappling hook, which is great. But the scene of them in the alley, I love it. How much do you weigh? She says whatever she weighs, and then they try and climb up, and he's like, "Grab that thing on my belt." Then he goes and like beats up all the guys, and he does like the finger, like the "Come on, guy, come on, I'm here." You got the guy with the swords that comes flipping off screen, which is he come over a fence. He's like, "Yeah." They do that a lot in these Batman movies, where Batman's like, Batman Forever does it twice actually.
In the beginning,
and then when he crashes through the skylight during the party.
Your entrance was good. His was better.
The difference?
Showmanship.
That's a great scene.
Jim Carrey. Gotta love it.
But and then the guy like does all the moves with the knives, and Batman just kicks him in the face. I like stuff like that. There's just something where Batman's just work smarter, not harder kind of person sometimes.
Yeah. The music for Batman Forever was done by Elliot Goldenthal.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah, I'm looking around. He did Batman Forever, but he did not do Batman and Robin.
Who would want to?
Well, obviously everybody did, because that Batman Forever was such a huge hit.
Batman Forever was a huge hit.
Batman Forever was a huge hit, and I think it did more money than Batman did.
That's awesome.
Because, again, it was so unexpected.
Yeah, and I would say, as far as Batman movies go, it might have my favorite cast. Especially in retrospect. I'm not a big Jack Nicholson fan. I like Jack Nicholson, but
I love Jack Nicholson.
I know you love Jack Nicholson.
It's... So, obviously, when Dark Knight came out and Heath Ledger just blew up the screen with his portrayal of the Joker, and then everybody was like, "Oh, well, who's better? Who's this? Who's that?" I said...
You can't. It's apples and oranges.
You can't say someone was better. There's different interpretations of the character. It's very similar to who's the better Bond.
Yeah.
It's who you grew up with. People who grew up in the 60s, Connery is their favorite Bond. People who grew up in the 90s, Pierce Brosnan is their favorite Bond. Or Daniel Craig. But Jack Nicholson took a character that before him you'd only seen on the show, played by Cesar Romero, and Cesar Romero did a great job.
Oh yeah,
for what it was. He was funny as the character. He was the laugh was very good. But Jack took it to another level.
Oh, my God,
because you take this Academy Award-winning force of an actor, and you put him under that makeup.
He brings the character to life.
He brings the character to life. He's having fun doing it. And even in interviews with Nicholson, he talks glowingly about this movie, about making this movie about the character. He doesn't look back going like, "Oh, why did I do that movie? I did it for the money." No. He believed in Tim Burton's vision of the movie. He believed in the character, and wow, he just, again, for the time, he was perfect for that character. And Heath Ledger, for the time, was perfect for his version of the character.
Absolutely, yeah. Go ahead.
I was going to say, it depends on who you ask. Jared Leto, for his character, and then obviously Joaquin Phoenix for his version of the character.
I dislike Joker as a movie.
Fair enough.
Did you see it?
I still haven't seen it.
You should watch it. I would love to hear your thoughts on it. But for me, we're talking about Jokers now because that's where we're at. Jared Leto, he I think he could have been much better.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, like it's evidenced by the type of script that he got, because he was much more muted in Zack Snyder's Justice League and much better, in my opinion. He still had like hints of that Joker. I have no problem with the gangster Joker too. Like we saw it with Nicholson's. He does a great gangster Joker.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we could have done that with Jared Leto's. They just went too far.
Yeah.
And then obviously there's all this talk about the Ayer cut versus the regular cut and this and that for the Suicide Squad. He really should have just been the villain in Arkham, and they were trying to like get him.
So in your opinion, looking back on the Joker portrayal in the Tim Burton Batman, I know you've said in the past, I've heard you say that the thing that people love about the Joker is you don't know where he came from.
Correct.
So looking back on that with, you know, obviously he starts off as Jack Napier and he becomes the Joker. Where do you feel?
I think for the sake of the movie, it's fine the way they did it. Obviously, because if you're going to introduce the Joker in your first movie, you have to give him an origin. Mm-hmm. He can't just pop up, because there's always been the long debate of, does Batman create these villains, or is he a response to them? So sometimes they've had it where those villains are already doing their villainous things, and Batman kind of comes in and then they just escalate. But most of the time it's, they even bring it up in Batman Begins, the very last scene, escalation. We start, wearing armor-proof vests, they buy armor-piercing rounds, like blah, blah, blah. So you have this internal question, is Batman making the city better? Mm-hmm. And apparently the Batman 89 comic book, Harvey, there's two groups in Gotham now, two gangs. One is a vigilante group inspired by Batman, so they dress up like Batman, kind of like in
Dark Knight.
And also that happened in the Dark Knight Returns comic book, the Sons of Batman. Mm-hmm. And then a group dressed as Joker, like inspired by him, and they're criminals. So Harvey Dent blames Batman for all of this. He's like, you did this. Like, we were okay until you showed up. Arguably, yeah. I mean, Jack Napier wouldn't have become the Joker without him.
Wouldn't become the Joker, but, obviously, again, you see in the beginning of this film, Gotham is overrun by the corruption, the
street mugging of tourists.
But still.
Yeah.
Not poisonous gas killing people on the streets of Gotham.
He wouldn't have done that though. But
you never know.
I think for this movie it works out just fine. I do enjoy when the Joker is more just a force of nature. We don't always need an explanation. I mean, look at Wolverine. We saw 3 X-Men movies of Wolverine just basically being a badass, just to find out he's a little sick kid named Jimmy. Look out, guys! Jimmy's coming. Watch out. Oh god, that movie sucked. Anyway, I don't think that all characters, unless it adds something to them, like a character like Magneto, give him his villainous backstory. That's it's great. It's rich. It means something. It has, it explains his character. Sometimes you could just be a force of nature, just like that, and that's what Heath Ledger's Joker was. He was a dog chasing cars. He just did because he could. And I think that, while I understand the Jack Napier aspect and all that, and that's been brought into the comics once or twice, I think, like, we don't always need an explanation. Just, like, enjoy the ride.
No, that's why I wanted to get your opinion on that, because I knew I've heard you talk about that in the past, just that the Joker, what makes the Joker, so great is we don't know his backstory. So that was always the, my question about, the Joker in this movie was, what do you think with, knowing his backstory, basically?
Yeah.
That pretty much, I think, will sum it up on the Batman. We're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be right back to discuss...
Before we take a quick break, Star City rating for Batman?
Star City rating. I give this a 4.5.
I'm with you. I think 4.5. It is an almost perfect movie.
It's perfect of the time it was made in. It was perfect for 1989. Came out at the right time. The audience was, just looking for this type of movie. We'd already had the Superman films come out, crash and burn with Quest for Peace 2 years earlier. So the comic book movie was dead.
Yeah.
The comic book movie was dead. So it only been 2 years, but the comic book movie was dead. And again, Batman was pow, zap, and wham. And this movie just never had to put pow, zap, and wham behind Batman again after this movie.
Love it. All right, now we'll take a quick break, and when we come back, Batman returns.
From where?
The break.
Ah.
Hey guys, today's episode is brought to you by Raise Energy Drinks. Raise is a proud member of Rep Sports, and if you guys are looking for a little extra kick during your day, whether you need to tackle a workout or you need to get over that afternoon slump, you can always check out Raise Energy, and if you get to checkout and you enter the code CINEMATIC, not only will you be getting a 15% discount, but you'll also be supporting the network. So that's Raise Energy with Rep Sports. Code is CINEMATIC, CINEMATIC.
And we're back. And funny thing, during the break, I just realized it's Michael Keaton's birthday today.
What?
Man, he's 70 years old.
Good for him.
Yeah.
And he's still like...
Doesn't look it.
Oh, he doesn't look it.
Doesn't look
Not
it.
at all. He's aged quite well.
Quite well.
Good for him.
Very good. Happy birthday, Michael Keaton. All right. So, Batman comes out. Batman, huge success.
Very huge.
Very big success. And obviously the question comes up, are we going to do a sequel?
Is he going to come back? Or
is it going to be forever?
Return.
Or are we going to add Robin?
Oh, man.
Well, Robin was actually supposed to be in the original script, was supposed to show up at the end of the first movie.
Played by?
I know...
Marlon?
It was Marlon Wayans?
Marlon
All that
Wayans.
early on? Okay,
Yeah.
I know... I think he was... Okay.
I think he even got paid for this movie.
Really?
I think so.
Okay.
Because I know Billy D. Williams got paid for...
Batman Forever?
Yeah, I think so. But, yeah.
So, the studio obviously is gung-ho, let's do this, awesome, great. Tim Burton is not...
Sold?
Not right away on board with doing another Batman movie. He obviously didn't want to do it right after doing Batman. He wanted to go off and do another thing. So he ends up doing what some might argue might be his best film of all time, and that is Edward Scissorhands. And for anyone who has never seen Edward Scissorhands, watch it. It is a fantastic movie. Just a perfect reimagining of like the Frankenstein, story. It is so good. His first collaboration with Johnny Depp. Which has become, some people might say, kind of killed some of Tim Burton's films. But, early on, there was a great working relationship. But
I would still argue that there is.
No, I'm not saying there's not a good relationship. I'm just saying I think
Some
the
people are a little tired.
movies have suffered, I think, a little bit in recent years.
Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Yeah, I'm not going to talk about that. But, so, he does Edward Scissorhands, and that's a huge hit. And let's just say, talk about just the beginning to a career. As a director, he does Pee-wee's Big Adventure, which is a cult classic, Beetlejuice, which is more than a cult classic, Batman, which is one of the greatest comic book movies ever made, Edward Scissorhands, and then he ends up doing Batman Returns, which I guess you could say is probably maybe his first misstep, but not really. It was a successful movie, it made money, and it got positive reviews from critics. It just didn't sell toys. I hate that. That just bugs me. So, they finally get Tim Burton to come back. How, you might ask? Tim, you'll have more creative control on this movie.
Oh, no.
So, Tim Burton was like, well, when you put it that way, let's do this. So, you can maybe put it there, saying maybe that was the problem, but again...
Let's make the bad guys a circus. Okay, Tim. All right.
Let's make the penguin a human penguin. And,
okay. Oh, he eats fish. Okay.
He does eat fish. Right. He eats noses, too, apparently.
Everybody's horny. Okay.
So, the original idea for the script was the Penguin and Catwoman were, I guess, agreed upon by both the studio and by Burton, because they were always felt that they were kind of like the 2 and 2A in the vaults of the, Batman villains. So those were always agreed upon. Again, the question was, are we going to put Robin in this movie? Tim Burton was not a huge fan of Robin, so he never felt like I have to put Robin in the movie. So that just kind of, again, I think it stuck for a little bit, and then they finally were like, no, we don't have to do this.
Such a shame.
And then we have, I guess you could say, the weirdest character in the movie, and that is Max Schreck, played by the great Christopher Walken, who, in my opinion, is the worst villain in the movie. More than the Penguin.
Bruce Wayne? Why are you just like Batman?
Because he is Batman.
I love that. That's one of my favorite. Was.
But so those are the main villains for this movie. And
I don't even consider Max Schreck to be a villain in this movie. He's more just a jerk in this movie.
Freaking pushes a woman out of a window.
Okay, that's fair. I'll give you that one.
It's like, damn. So, obviously following the success of Jack Nicholson as the Joker, so we're going to get, obviously, famous people to play the villains in this movie. It is Danny DeVito cast as the Penguin.
Which is still inspired.
Fantastic. I mean, I don't think there's anyone else that could have played that role.
No,
the way it was done.
You know who's trying to get a role as the Penguin? Well, now we got
Colin Farrell.
Yeah, Josh Gad tried to get it.
Josh Gad would be...
He would be fun.
Yeah, he would be good. I could see him as the Penguin.
He just would have to dial back his current Josh Gadness.
Well, yeah. But again, also depends on the way the character's written.
Yeah.
You know, because the Penguin, and correct me if I'm wrong, he's basically just a crime boss, right?
Nowadays, yeah. He's much further away from the... exploding penguins.
But even in the original comics, he wasn't...
Yeah, well, no, in the original comics, he did do like the heist and stuff like that. But in more recent adaptations, he's definitely been he owns the Iceberg Lounge. Mm-hmm. He's a safe haven for criminals, stuff like that. Like that's his bigger thing.
So it was Tim Burton's idea. Well, we have Catwoman, we have Batman. Well, let's make the Penguin a
Penguin Man.
Penguin Man. So that kind of spawned the whole, okay, we're going to start this movie with the Penguin being born, basically, a mutant-looking thing, and is basically his parents throw him into the river.
Paul Rubens,
that's right.
Yep.
They throw him into the river, and we get this, you feel for the kid. I mean, they threw him into freezing water and let him just roll on down the river to his most likely death.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's
dark.
It's
a dark
opening.
So
that's right there. You're just like, oh, okay, But
yeah. But I was gonna say, who played him in Gotham?
I don't remember the actor's name, but it's the guy from Accepted.
Yeah,
and he was great. Yeah, he was very good.
I think for that type of character, you could do it like where he just has like kind of penguin-like mannerisms.
Yeah,
like you don't have to.
Well, because in Gotham he has like the walk. I think like his leg is messed up, so he kind of like He waddles.
Yeah,
but he doesn't have the like that or anything like that. He doesn't do the Burgess Meredith like
running. Oh god.
And then we get Catwoman, who originally was going to be played by Annette Bening.
Robin Lord Taylor. That's in Gotham.
Robin Lord Taylor, thank you. Now that you say that, I remember the name.
Yeah.
So Annette Bening was originally cast as Catwoman, but she became pregnant during pre-production, so they ended up going with Michelle Pfeiffer.
I've never heard of her.
No?
Can we watch Grease 2 after this?
Her most famous movie.
Oh, God, I love that movie.
If you walked up to her and be like, I loved you in Grease 2, she'd probably slap you.
Or she would be flattered.
I don't think so.
Or she would have her security team probably beat me up.
That too. Dang. What did you think of the Catwoman take in this movie?
Besides what I joked about earlier, where it was like she learned all these incredibly painstaking abilities in the time it took her to basically make the suit.
Mm-hmm.
Catwoman was exceptionally sexualized too. As a kid, I didn't even notice it, but like she says, "Be gentle. It's my first time." Like, oh, I get it. Yeah, wow, okay. But so for me, like, I enjoy her character. I wish she had a little bit more development, like if they'd introduced her in the previous movie at some point, or even just like some backstory, like, oh, she was a gymnastics champion, like she has a gymnastics trophy in her in her little tiny apartment. Like stuff like that would have added a little bit, but otherwise, like she's fantastic. Like the scene of her in the department store,
wow,
that's still like quintessential.
I love when she just flips out in her apartment, like after he pushes her and she
and she destroys everything,
and she starts creating the suit.
Thank God she had that material. Just
that one jacket got her all that material,
and she was able to create claws that retracted.
But I love the scene where she's laying on the ground and the cats are all like,
oh, that scene creeps me out,
and her eyes are like bugging. I mean, that was
that scene creeps me out.
Creepy, but it was so good.
I like it. But And then any other real characters? I mean, Alfred returns, but
Alfred returns. Commissioner Gordon really has not much to do in this movie.
Less and less as the movies go on.
Yeah, he becomes sadly a kind of a joke kind of a character, especially in Batman and Robin. It just always bothered me. But obviously, Max Schreck is the other real major character in this movie. I'm trying to figure out like the point of his character really in the movie. Like, he's a corrupt businessman. His role in this movie is to tie to the Penguin to get the Penguin into the public eye.
Yeah, so he
blackmails Penguin blackmails Max Schreck to get him back up onto the real land for Penguin to come up with his evil plan to
and
seek
then basically
vengeance.
Max would have the mayor in his pocket.
Pretty much. Well, it's Max Schreck's plan to get him to run for mayor.
Yeah, because then he would have a mayor that he could use and manipulate.
He could do all his raw
little scotch tape and some free time.
Grabs the hand out of the stocking. Like, this is
Hi, Max.
I'm Fred's hand. Other than that, I mean, you have the circus gang, which are some interesting, Tim Burton characters.
They had a couple. The guy with the monkey.
I like that. The sets are very similar to the original Batman. I love the use of the miniatures sets in this movie, like the zoo at the beginning, the Cobblepot Mansion, even the Wayne Manor. I love how Wayne Manor changes in every freaking movie.
Oh yeah.
And as we said before, that scene. I'm sorry, but I love that scene where it's like, "What are you waiting for? The signal!" And Michael Keaton's just in the dark, just sitting there, contemplating life. And,
not even reading a book.
And it's, all of a sudden the signal goes up, one light reacts to it, then another light reacts to it.
Like the mummy.
And then it's right on his face, and you're just like, and he just stands there. And he's just like, I think I'm needed.
Once I'm done posing for the camera, I better get dressed.
I love that. I thought that was
It's a 9-minute process for me to put this suit on, but I'm going to try.
And then you see, of course, in Batman Forever, he's got like special tunnels from Wayne Manor to Wayne Enterprise.
Lock. Chair. God, imagine if he accidentally said, "Oh, let me get off this chair." Oh, God.
Well, okay, so the general story of this movie is the Penguin wants to kidnap or kill all the firstborn children of Gotham.
As payback for what happened
to him. He,
I don't know how he knows that, how he remembers that, but okay.
Well, he writes them all down. Remember, he's at the Hall of Records.
No, but I know that, but I don't know why he's like, wow, my parents abandoned me. What, like, how does he know that?
Oh, that he's the
firstborn son of the Cobblepot.
I guarantee you don't really see it, but it wouldn't shock me if he killed his parents.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Like the whole thing of him finding out who he is BS. He knows who he is.
Yeah.
He's just using it as a front.
I feel like there's a lot of things missing in this movie.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. And I always love that there's a scene where he first comes up from the sewer. He's talking to the camera. He's got that very, pathetic, I feel sorry for him look. And Bruce Wayne's watching the TV, and Alfred's like, is there something wrong? He goes, nah, it's his parents. I hope he finds them. He feels bad for him because he understands where he's coming from. But then, 5 seconds later, he's looking at articles of this circus gang, and he's like, yeah, I don't think he's
who he is.
He pretty much realizes right away, no, this guy's up to something else.
This version of Batman, the Michael Keaton version, is very smart.
Yes,
he is much smarter than other Batmen.
He comes up with the figuring out how the Joker was poisoning people. In
he
the
figures
first
that
one.
out. He thwarts Cobblepot basically without throwing a punch at him.
Yeah,
So this version is probably, I would say, the smartest of Batman. Kilmer has his moments.
They have I always like the scene of him and Alfred trying to figure out the riddle. Yeah, that was a good moment.
And then Alfred says, "You really are quite bright, despite what people say."
And
George Clooney's a joke.
Just doesn't do anything.
But even Christian Bale's Batman wasn't the smartest.
No.
He at no point
he had all the gadgets. He had all
he flaunted the Wayne wealth.
Yes.
And obviously he was good at creating the persona of Bruce Wayne the Playboy and all that. But as far as tactical stuff, he was not the smartest Batman. And then Batfleck had his moments where he was more of a brute of a fighter, but you could definitely see his he makes the kryptonite spear, he makes the kryptonite gas, stuff like that. But I will say Michael Keaton's Batman is probably the smartest of the Batmans. But You know the one scene that does bother me in this movie?
Which one?
When Penguin takes control of the Batmobile. And we've seen this Batmobile push cars out of the way, take bullets, get bombs dropped on it and stuff. Batman punches through the bottom of it with his hand. Yeah, that's where I drew the line a little. Like, wait, what? No.
I love Cobblepot riding in like the little thing you'd find outside of a supermarket, like the Batmobile.
You ever play football? No. Would you want to play football? No. But yeah, it's hilarious. It's funny. Don't get me wrong. And I also love when the alley's coming up and he like hits the thing. He's like, and nothing happens. He's like,
well, I'm a little worried now.
Yeah,
it is Bruce Wayne voice too.
Yeah,
he's like,
okay, now I'm a little worried.
Now I'm a little worried.
Yeah.
You do see a few times with him in the Batsuit having his Bruce Wayne voice, like when he's close to Alfred. He's like, Alfred, can you get me some antiseptic ointment, please?
Some Band-Aids. The other great shot is when he pulls his mask off because bulletproof mask. Like that thing has taken gunshots. He's like, nah, I just pull it off. And then B, it cuts to him right before he pulls it off, back to him, and all of his eye makeup is gone because all the Batman and the Pattinson Batman's the only one we've seen actually show them with the eye makeup, which is interesting. But every other Batman has to wear eye makeup with the mask, otherwise you'd see all of it. Yeah,
there were some great shots in the first Batman in the cave.
I will say better cinematography in the first one.
In the first one, when he brings Vicki Vale to the Batcave after rescuing her from the museum, and there's just beautiful shots of his face, but you don't see his mouth, and you just see the light on his eyes.
Yeah, they do a lot of good eye shots.
That's where Michael Keaton sold the character of Batman to me, because he looked perfect.
Well, even in the first one when he tells Vicki, I gotta go to work, and it does the first suit up scene for him, and the last shot is him looking up and the eyes are just reflected. Really good lighting work with these, especially the first movie. The second movie not as much.
No.
But
in the second movie, I feel they focused more on the villains and the production design. Batman kind of
fell by the wayside
a little. I think they
tweaked his costume up.
They tweaked the costume up. They were like, oh well, we got Michael back. Michael will do his thing that he did in the first movie, and he does. There's a great interview with him, probably from back then, and he goes, oh, well, this will be easy. I'll just, redo this character, no issue. And like he said, like after a week, he's just like, something's weird. And, he just like, I just started mimicking myself. And he goes, that makes no sense. How did I? And so he had to like reestablish like his persona as Batman, his mindset, just to get back into the character. But I definitely feel Batman kind of fell a little by the wayside in Batman Returns from the villains. I think the villains.
Same thing happens though in The Dark Knight.
You're right. But that's always been, I feel, you can even say that in the TV show. The villains were the thing in the TV show.
Batman has one of the best and well-known rogues galleries of all time. Like I will be the first one to admit that Batman. When you think comic book villains, most of the time you're thinking Batman villains.
Absolutely.
Spider-Man villains also nowadays they're much more prevalent. Unfortunately, the X-Men series are like, we'll just have Magneto again. That's fine. Superman, obviously Lex Luthor is a staple. General Zod, Brainiac, all them. But Batman definitely has the best rogues gallery, in our very humble opinion.
We're not that humble.
I think we're very humble. You should listen to our podcast. Any other thoughts? Anything you want to jump on Batman Returns?
I feel, again, so as everyone knows, this movie was released and it made its money. It definitely made its money back. It was a very big success, but the toy sales plummeted. I believe they had a what do you call it? A promotional deal with McDonald's.
Oh, I had McDonald's toys.
And the glasses, I think they were glasses or something like that, and that didn't do as well because, again, parents were so, turned off by the movie. And we're not saying that this movie is not dark. It is. I mean, there are some genuinely creepy scenes in this movie. I mean, again. But I still think this movie is very well done. I think it deserves to get a little more respect than it's gotten over the years. But that's about what I got.
Star City rating for it?
3.5.
I would actually give it a 4.
Okay.
It is a solid movie. I think it benefits from being a sequel to the first one. Like I always consider those two kind of one set of movies, and then Forever and Robin, their own kind of things. But it makes me even more excited to get what's it called? Keaton coming back.
Yes.
As Batman.
That is, probably the thing I'm looking forward most to in comic book movies is just seeing Michael Keaton back on the screen as Bruce Wayne.
He doesn't even have to put on the suit again. Obviously, he's going to be 70. I don't need a 70-year-old Batman. But if they want to continue that series and do like a Batman Beyond style series with him as the older Bruce Wayne, golden. Sign me up. I'll take my money. Happily, I will jump, skip, and hop to the theater. But if this is his swan song, I think
it's a good way to go out,
because he never got it. His for me, like I said, his Batman is his own thing. The Schumacher stuff is its own thing.
Well, he when it was agreed that Tim Burton was not going to do Batman Forever, Michael Keaton was like, "Then I'm not doing it." It's like Christian Bale with Christopher Nolan. If Nolan's not doing it, I'm not doing it. So I was Keaton's. If Michael Keaton's not doing it, if Tim Burton's not directing the third Batman movie, then I'm good. Maybe even if Tim Burton directed it, Michael Keaton would have decided that he still didn't want to do it. We'll never know. But for the most part, I believe that if Tim Burton had directed Batman Forever or whatever it would have been called, Michael Keaton would have continued on playing Batman. Michael Keaton has openly said he never saw Batman Forever and Batman and Robin. He enjoyed the Nolan trilogy, and he was hoping that's what he wanted the films to become. So he's seen what Batman has gone over the last 10 years, and I'm really intrigued to see what he does bringing this character back to the screen.
I'm psyched. I'm so excited.
Yeah. Well, this was fun. Our first week of Tim Burton month.
We have no clue what movie we're doing next week.
Yeah, we don't know. We don't know. We got a lot of things coming up that it's just. We'll figure it out. Don't worry.
We'll see.
We'll see. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. As I didn't say at the beginning of the podcast, if you are listening to us on the go, you can get us on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, and pretty much anywhere else you can listen to a podcast. Yeah. Paul, let them know where they can reach us.
You can find us on Facebook at Cinematic Adventures. There you'll find direct links to all of our content, including every once in a while something fun, something funny. You can also find our website, themisfitfaction.com. There you'll find all of our podcasts, including Cinematic Adventures and the Multiverse Fancast, and possibly a third one in the near future. Maybe. But you can also find reviews, articles, anything along those lines. You can find us on Instagram, The Misfit Faction. You can find us on YouTube, The Misfit Faction Media Network. Basically, anywhere you use social media, you can find us. Just look Cinematic Adventures or Misfit Faction, and you got a good chance of finding us. But yeah, that pretty much wraps us up.
All right. As always, I'm Sean.
And I'm the other guy.
The other guy?
I thought we were watching Blank Man.
Ah.
I'm Paul.
Have a good one, everybody.
Bye.